Hello everybody, welcome to the United Stand. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has been sacked as Manchester United manager, and I know some people will obviously react with great happiness and joy and sue and it's over and get out, but you know what, this is where class kicks in for me. Look, the happiness is that it's over. That's where I'm very happy. The thing I have a problem with this, and I have got no problem with Solskjaer being sacked, but the place I have a problem with this is how the board have acted again, and how Solskjaer will be sacked and everything will go back to happy now because we've got a new manager, but actually we've still got the Glazers and Ed Woodward in charge, and this I'm becoming quite tired about, and I wanted to get this across at the start of the video amongst all the hype of Ole's been sacked and all this lot, because we sacked Van Gaal, we sacked Mourinho, and now we've sacked Ole, and yet the same chief executive is still in charge. The same owners are still in charge. And I think that's really important, because you know what? We will all get on a buzz of hype and positivity now because Ole's gone. But the reality is, whatever you think about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, and he wasn't good enough. But one of the attractions with him is that he did get what United was all about. He just couldn't transform it into the way that we played. But he was a United person. And that, you know, Ed Woodward isn't, and the Glazers aren't, and they're the people making the decisions, and that's what's wrong with Manchester United. And I think we're all agreed with that we will now all get swept up in the wave of optimism because it's a change. It's like a new Christmas present, but the people handing them out are still the people that are incompetent, and I think that's really important. But ultimately, let's bring it back to Solskjaer. And also, look, you know, people are saying it's not confirmed. Well, this is Fabrizio Romano. Like, there are other people doing it. Duncan Castles has done it from the Times. There's a few people who've said it in the last 20 minutes. But the reason we're going live, really, is because, one, I've had a couple of messages myself confirming it, as I'm sure lots of other people have. But look, Fabrizio Romano has just said 14 minutes ago, Manchester United have decided to fire Ole Gunnar Solskjaer after 5-hour internal talks confirmed. Mutual agreement to part ways now considered. Once just waiting the final sign-off by Joel Glazer, and it will be confirmed and announced by Manchester United. It's done. He's sacked. Like, it's known he's sacked. And to be honest with you, I think, again, this is a failing. I can imagine, quite rightly, this is something I would agree with Gary Neville. And I want to talk about Ole and his time and you know, where United go from here in a pragmatic way. I think, you know, now is not the time for, you know, too high emotion, because I think this is an admission of failure, which the club need to, you know, understand. When you sack a manager, it's a failure, especially what they've told us for 3 years about a 3-year journey, a long-term plan. But where I would agree with something I'm sure Gary Neville will say, because it's pretty much his sort of thing, is that the way this has been handled yet again, I remember it with Van Gaal. You know, he won an FA Cup, he didn't know he was getting sacked, everyone else did. Mourinho went in the morning, didn't know he was getting sacked, the world did. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, look, he knows he's going to get sacked, but the fact that the club have not announced it before the media, this is not a transfer. This is not Sancho, here we go. This is not, you know, Ronaldo, here we go. And yet Fabrizio Romano is announcing to the world and other journalists that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is getting the sack. And again, this is Manchester United Football Club leaking like a bloody sieve. Embarrassing. Like, I don't care if it's Moyes, Mourinho, Van Gaal or Ole. They all deserve a level of respect from this football club in relation to how they are sacked. And it's sacked by social media again, because the club are incompetent. But look, you know, it was time after the Europa League final. Sad day, only fitting. You are my Solskjaer, my Ole Solskjaer, says Lillerager. Sad to see him go, but it had to be done, and I even wanted him out too. Should remember him for steadying us after Mourinho on that night in Paris, as Cameron Brand. Apparently Darren Fletcher will be the interim. I want to talk about that, VK boss. Scared, rumour has it, Carrick and Fletcher until the end, says Summerjet. And OK Mark, have I missed something, or have they hired a new manager? I'm settled yet, it could be Ed Woodward as an interim. Right, Akil, right, the rumours are that Manchester United are going to put Darren Fletcher as the interim with Michael Carrick as his assistant. I mean, this to me is Manchester United all over. Now, if this is for the Villarreal game, fine. If this is for beyond the Villarreal game, what's the point? Like, I think it's really important here that United fans don't swallow the Glazer bullshit, basically. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is gone, but Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is not the reason Manchester United are where we are. Like, he was part of a management team. When he was appointed after Mourinho, he came in as a management team. They gave him Carrick McKenna, who had worked under Mourinho, and then they brought feeling in for a bit of experience. And they've worked collectively for 3 years. The reason we've been going on about it for 2 years is Ollie should get some better coaches. And the reason he wouldn't is because it's a management team. He can't get rid of Carrick and McKenna without losing his job himself. So why is Ollie going and coaches are staying? We are an embarrassment in the way that we play football, the way we build up from the back, the way we don't pick runners up, the way we defend set pieces, the way we attack set pieces. That's coaching. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer on at least 7 occasions over the last 2 years has said, I don't do the coaching. I'm the manager. You know, I make decisions on the team, but I don't coach the team. We are badly coached, and yet we're going to give Michael Carrick a job. Like, this is Manchester United all over. They think if you sack a manager, the problems are solved. The coaching is a joke. It's absolutely embarrassing. And Michael Carrick needs to be sacked. And McKenna needs to be sacked. And Phelan needs to be sacked. And to be honest with you, Darren Fletcher's only been there 5 minutes. Don't even know why we employed him, apart from the fact that he played for the club. So look, give him the interim job for Villarreal and get him out. You know, get a proper coach in who brings his own coaching staff in and rid us of this sentimental bullshit associating us to ex-players with this football club, because I'm tired of it. And Ollie shouldn't just take the blame. No way should Ollie just take the blame. That is a managerial team, and we should not be left with Ollie thrown under his bus and all the coaches who've been part of that mess carrying on. So that's something we need to keep an eye on. And I don't know what the long-term plan is, but look, I don't want to see Carrick and Fletcher as interim coaches for any longer than Villarreal. Because if they're going to be the coaches, we're not going to see much of a difference. And also, we must never appoint somebody who's an interim coach as a full-time manager again. I don't care how good they are. Never do it again. Zidane or Ten Hag, please. Rodgers ain't the man. I mean, I don't really care. I'd take Rodgers, but, you know, it's all down to opinion, Stuart. Mark, what's going to change? Ollie doesn't do any of the coaching, and he's always talking to the coaches. It's like changing the car, but keeping the driver. Exactly, Akil. He took us as far as we could with him. Need to either get Zidane or Ten Hag and try to save the season, says Marcus. I know you don't think so, but Ollie still can be a good manager at a smaller club. I don't really care, Addy. You know, just in relation to Solskjaer, he'll always be the scorer of one of the greatest nights of my life, certainly from a footballing point of view. Loved him as a player, and as a manager, I won't really have much to think about. I don't think he did a very good job in the end. You know, I put a lot of faith in him, like a lot of people did. But I think when you look at the legacy, and I'm happy to talk about his legacy in a few minutes, I think it's a bit of a myth. He's not a great man manager. Ask the players that he treated badly. We never played good football, really. We haven't really developed any youth. And I think the club is in a bit of a mess. I think we're heading towards a very bad summer. But the positive is, the Paul Pogbas, the Donny van der Beeks of this world, there might be a chance they stay now. So feel sorry for those excited. This is the tip of the iceberg, says Nick. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't feel excited. I've got to be honest. Krill says De Gea for captain, and I'll always explain it. Can just take time to respect the results he did against Man City, PSG, etc. He has actually given great times, but I'm glad it's over, says Kian. And Ollie dodged a bullet for Woodward. We should go for Woodward now as long as he stays, says Eakin. Look, I'm not going to lament about... I'm not going to wax lyrical, about Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as a coach. I don't think it worked. And I've got to put my hands up and say, look, I stuck with him for a long time. I did. So I was wrong in a certain sense. Having said that, Carrick and McKenna need to go, says Dem. I agree. Having said that, I also had my doubts. I was very unhappy after the Europa League final loss. But I sort of looked at finishing second in the league and third in the league and thought that he deserved this season. You know what? I have no regrets, actually. I stand by what I did. I did it with Mourinho. I felt Mourinho deserved the third season, even though we finished second, and a lot of people felt he should have gone. And a lot of people felt Ollie should have gone when he finished second. And, you know, fair enough, you predicted it right. But for me, I think both Mourinho and Ollie deserved their third season. And for me, with Mourinho, when he lost to West Ham, I was out. And when Ollie lost to Liverpool, I was out. So, look, I gave him the time. I don't regret it. Everyone's got their own opinions, and everyone's got their right to decide. I mean, maybe some people think Ollie should stay. That's their right. But I don't celebrate it. Ollie's at the wheel back home, says Man United, and I don't celebrate these sort of the viciousness side of it, because, you know, I'm concerned for Solskjaer, to be honest with you. Now he's been sacked, I think the club has a duty of care, and they've not even done it officially, so they're not even adhering to their own duty of care. He is gone. Like, he is gone. If you're tuning in, Solskjaer is gone. Like, Romano has tweeted it. Loads of people have mentioned it. There's a lot of people in messages groups and stuff have been reporting it for the last couple of hours, to be fair, and fair play to them. I actually had a message when I was on air, and I couldn't say what it was because they didn't want me to say it. And you can believe that or not, it makes no difference to me. But basically, I got the message when I said I don't believe that the players know that he's going, and I had a message straight away. So, but yeah, he's gone, but we don't know who else is going. We don't know who's coming in. So it is the tip of the iceberg. I think that's a really good point. Ollie dodged a bullet for So I mean, look, the Woodward and the Glazers are. I mean, that to me tonight is. I go back to what I said at the start of the season 2 years ago and what I said at the start of this season. I don't want to see Solskjaer sacked before the Glazers are gone. It's another manager who's going out the door, and the Glazers and Ed Woodward are still here. And that to me is a shame, because they are the people. When I talk about Ed Woodward specifically, they are the people who, he is the person who has employed 4 managers and sacked 4 managers. Like, what CEO stays in a job for that? The Glazers, well, the Glazers are the Glazers. Does Zidane develop your youth though? Says Charlie Kofi. But we didn't develop youth really under Mourinho. We haven't done it under Ollie. Zidane's record of development is fairly decent at Real Madrid, but I don't think we're going to get Zidane. By the way, can I just say I don't think we're going to get Zidane. I think Ten Hag's still a proposition. I still think Brendan Rodgers is a good choice. I do think Brendan Rodgers is a choice. I know I'm batting on my own here, but I still think he's a good choice. So, look, for me, the change of manager does fill me with optimism, but I don't know who it is yet. I don't know what the plan is. And I'm not so sure United know what the plan is. And what will massively disappoint me is if they decide to keep some of these coaches. Look, for me, as I said, it's Solskjaer, Phelan, Carrick, McKenna. All of them have to go. I mean, I actually think Carrick and McKenna need to go more than Phelan and Ollie, because Carrick and McKenna were part of Mourinho's reign at the end as well, so they've done it twice. The rumours are that some of them are going to stay, and I think that that's appalling. Absolutely appalling. We need to clean house. How badly do you think Maguire is feeling right now, says Gareth Blake? Footballers are very selfish, mate. Like, I know footballers. I know what they're like. I've spoken to footballers about when people get sacked. I spoke to Paul Ince on Driving with Goldbridge about when he left Manchester United, where he'd been for years and was very happy, and, you know, how many friends did you keep from that? And he said, look, football's very transient, you know. You're at one club, they're all your mates. You go to another club, you're not them, you know, you don't see them anymore, you've got new mates. It's, you know, and footballers have got to look out for themselves. Harry Maguire's got an agent. All these players have got agents, they've got boot deals, they've got families, they've got to look out for themselves. Solskjaer will be sacked and another manager will come in. Solskjaer signed Harry Maguire. Solskjaer brought Harry Maguire to Manchester United. You know, Solskjaer was always going to die on that sword, and Harry Maguire's always going to be indebted to Solskjaer for that. But Harry Maguire's got to now, like many other Man United players, has got to think about, how do I become a Manchester United player? Because at the moment, not many people are. We are far from being out of the woods. Ollie is gone, but the rest stayed. Nothing changed, says Denver. Mark, you're a man who knows the game. We've all been here in the 90s. Rodgers can do things with this squad, says Nick. I think he can as well. Sad ending for Ollie. He was deflated in his interview and will be grieving tonight. Respect him still as the club player legend. He loves the club, says Sam. Can a new manager bring in their own coaching staff, says Parth. And this next appointment is very important for the club. We must not rush to make a decision. If not, Zidane or Rodgers must recruit our own Klopp or Pep, says FIFA Crazy. And Mark, do you think if Zidane was brought in, then he could get the best out of Pogba? And will it be announced tonight or tomorrow officially, says Archie. And very sad for Ollie, but it's the right decision. Let's get Zidane in, 20 legend. You know what, Papa? I think there's a great question in there. When is this going to be announced officially by the club? Because this is not official by the club. They have not officially worked on it. Fabrizio Romano has tweeted again and said Manchester United are working on compensation and written agreement with Solskjaer. It's going to be mutual agreement to part ways, as reported before. Solskjaer will leave. It's over. Official statement expected in the next few hours once paperwork will be completed. So, you know, at the end of the day, Fabrizio Romano has got more detail on what Manchester United are doing than Manchester United have put out themselves. And I think for me, that is very, very, very telling that Manchester United haven't said anything and are again allowing this to be played out in the media. This is playing out like a Gary Neville in. Well, thoughts for Gary Neville tonight. I'm sure he's gutted, but and I mean that I mean that properly. Like, he will be gutted, won't he? It's a reputational thing, isn't it? He's backed this manager. He doesn't believe he should be sacked. He's not really even called him out as a bad coach. So, there will be people out there that aren't happy, and you've always got to think about that. And I just think the club have handled it badly again. I do. I do really think this should not be leaking from the media that he's sacked. This is not a transfer. This is not signing a player. This is a manager who's been here for 3 years, who we've had the club and Ollie himself tell us about the journey we're on and the structure we're building, and it's a long-term vision. This is quite a symbolic thing. Now, even I feel quite... I don't know what the word is. I'm not emotional. I'm not disappointed. I'm actually happy. I am happy that it's over, because I think the one thing I've struggled with over the last month is that as a fan of United, I've never really been in this position for a long time, where I don't know what we are. I don't know what this season's about. I don't know what the long-term plan is, and I'm one of those people who needs a vision. I need something to look forward to. I can't just go game to game surviving. That's not... I mean, nobody does that. Nobody does that. So, to think that we might be, a one big step towards having a plan again, that's really important. And my eyes are wide open, whether it's Brendan Rodgers, Zinedine Zidane, Ten Hag, or whoever. As long as they bring a proper coach in who's allowed to bring their own coaches in, I'm fully aware that this is a job that's going to take a bit of time. I mean, that midfield is a disgrace, and it needs major surgery, and we probably need major surgery everywhere else. And let's not forget, a new manager might come in and go, I actually don't like that player that we all like. So we're in the hands of that again. But I think the next few days are just really key. I'm a bit nervous about it. Mark, good on you for sticking by him. I'm now happy it's done. I can feel for Ollie rather than it being dragged out and I'm feeling toxic, me disliking him in charge of every game since Liverpool, says Danny. Yeah, and it is a relief. I think a lot of people are feeling that. I've always loved Solskjaer, even when he's pissed me off massively. I've always been able to box off that I'm criticising the coach, not the person, and not the United legend player. So it's nice to be able to know that the coach... It's like closing your laptop. That's Ollie's coach career down. Close that laptop down, and you can just now look back on the on the positives. I think this has been approached so poorly by United again. Whether you were Ollie in or out, he deserves much better than this. The club is ruined, says Keith. Melancholy is the word, Mark, says Jan. And I know he has got to go, but I find it extremely upsetting where the club has gone. Ollie should go, but I just don't feel a lot will change no matter who we get. First time in my life I struggle to watch, says Danny Smith. It's overdue to part ways, but I just want to say thank you to Ollie. He steadied the ship after dark days, got fans excited, says Hamada and Max Wood. I am just going to put a tweet out, and if anyone wants to retweet it, I think it's just very important to say this. I just want to think how I want to put it. Yet again, the club act poorly. A manager sacked by social media like it's a new transfer. No manager of United should be treated like that. Leaks should be stopped until it's official from the club. There we go. I put it out there. I'm appalled. I was appalled. I mean, I wanted Van Gaal to go. Max Wood, thank you for joining the members. I wanted Van Gaal to leave Manchester United, but I felt that the way they sacked him was abysmal, and I just don't like it. I don't care who it is, and I've got a lot more affection for Ollie than I did for Mourinho at the end, but I don't like the way the club act. My eyes are wide open. I don't care what you think. I don't care whether you're Ollie in, Ollie out, shake it all about. It doesn't matter to me. For me, I said this 2 years ago. I said it a year ago, and I'll say it now. I would keep Ollie and sack the Glazers right now. I would, because the new owners would sack Ollie anyway. But no, in no way. I mean, people have been watching this channel for weeks. I want Ollie to go. 100% I want him to go. But there are... Demarcio says, club considering Laurent Blanc as interim if United can't convince Zidane. Mate, I would love that, Clarkey. I would love Laurent Blanc as an interim. I really would. I think he'd be a very good manager. Did a great job at Bordeaux. Did an okay job at PSG. I mean, look at what Tuchel did at PSG. It's difficult. I think Laurent Blanc could be an interesting appointment. Could Laurent Blanc or Ryan Giggs be considered as interim options, at least until the end of the season, in case we do decide to wait to Zidane or Ten Hag, says Ardia. And Gur, thank you very much for becoming a member. The only problem with an interim is if you get someone like... look, an interim to the end of the season cannot be Darren Fletcher. Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick can only do it for a game. That would be ridiculous. They've never even coached, let alone managed. They can only do one game. They can only do Villarreal. You'd need a proper interim like Rangnick or Blanc. The problem with those two is, if you bring them in and they do well, do you then give them the job again? Because interims cannot become full-time coaches. So the ideal scenario for United is that they sack Solskjaer and they get the permanent manager in. And I'm a big advocate of a permanent manager, because if I was Zidane or Brendan Rodgers or Ten Hag, the way the United fan base works is that we're not going to judge you this season. We know you're taking on a shit show. Like, the season is over in November. All we can do now is positivity. Now, look, you could do a two-cal, you could turn it around and win the Champions League, and that would be magnificent. But the reality is, you're probably coming into the job 7 months early. But you're better off at United coming into the job now than you are in the summer, because you've got a chance of keeping Pogba. You've got a chance of keeping Donny. You've got a chance to look at people like Martial, Lingard, Telles, Dalot, Bailly, and make a decision on them before maybe selling them in the summer. So it's actually a very good time to come into United. I think if you want to be United's long-term manager, the best time to come in is now and not the summer. And I know a lot of managers think, no, I want to do it in the summer, but actually, United's circumstances, we're perfect to come in now and use the 6 months. I think Klopp did it at Liverpool. I'm pretty sure Klopp came in around this sort of time. It's not a transfer, it's not a new player, it's a new United. I've stood by your realisation for a new United, Mark. Let's make it happen and let's all support it. A new United, says Nick. Well, we're in the hands of the Glazers to do it. I can finally put Ollie back in the Panini sticker album as a hero and legend, sliding on his knees to give me one of the greatest nights of my life. Nick P, that does not sound great. Ollie sliding on his knees to give you one of the greatest nights of your life. I know what you mean, but yeah. Mark, why did they wait until now to sack Ollie? Why did not do it international break like other clubs, says Stephen Hazard? Because the club is run very badly, basically. Blanc would be terrible. He's not been successful since Mourinho is a good manager. Needs someone with success in modern football. We're talking about an interim, Harris. We're not talking about a long-term coach. Wouldn't trust Carrick or any of them to manage the under-23s, let alone the first team. We need Zidane or Ten Hag desperately, says Ali Morgan. And a legacy tarnished, fans split, mid-table performances, career was almost ruined. All that while those on their high horses kept making millions, says Asset. So it's still not official by the club, but it's official by Fabrizio Romano and a few others. I'm appalled by that by the club. But you know what? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is sacked. If you'd have said to me this morning, would you have lost to Watford to get rid of Ole? I think that's the hardest question I've ever put to myself on a live show. Because there's no answer you can give there that's not going to get me into trouble. But you know what? If I said to a United fan this morning, would you take that Watford loss knowing Solskjaer and his coaches are gone if he do lose? I suppose it's the definition of short-term pain for long-term gain, isn't it? If he'd have won today and lost to Chelsea, would he have... You know what? Something came into my head before I answered that question. Something came into my head today. This evening, and I actually think the Watford result has tipped it, because I think with Liverpool and City they were like, well, it's Liverpool and City. With Leicester it was like that was a shock, but with Liverpool and City they were like, well, it's Liverpool and City. I think when we got annihilated by Watford they were like, bloody hell, that's Watford. So I think to answer the question, I think it had to happen. I never want United to lose, and I didn't want United to lose. I said in the preview, I said it this morning, I want United to win. But what I would say is, because I can't be that person. I can't say, if he'd said to me this morning, if we lose, Ollie gets the sack. I just don't ever want United to lose. But what I would say is, it needed to happen. It needed to happen against Watford for it to be real. So yeah, I agree with that definitely. So yeah. The scenes when Fletcher picks McFred on Tuesday, says Tom. And Amir, thank you very much for joining the Members Club. Hi, I'm coming from the BBC. They are saying United are talking to Zidane and pushing, says Alex. You are getting a lot of hate on the recent tweet, says Addy. Am I? No, I'm not getting a lot. I don't really care. I don't really care. It's a respect thing. I'm not bothered what people. Mate, if I ever cared what people slate me for, I would have stopped years ago. I couldn't give a shit. I think the way the club have allowed Solskjaer to be sacked on social media is poor. I really like this. I mean, look, me and Samuel Luckhurst have clashed a little bit in the past, although it's mainly him, to be fair. You know, he's quite funny actually because he moans about players blocking them, but he blocks others. But you know, I haven't got a problem with him. I think he's a decent journalist, although a lot of people don't. I actually think he's okay. But he's tweeted in the last few minutes, and I think he's spot on here. He says it's sad is a terribly overused word in life, but it is sad that Solskjaer's Manchester United career has come to an end with him being booed by fans who adore him. It should never have come to that, and I would applaud that. And I applaud it because it's something we've said on this channel. The minute they didn't sack him in the international break, they exposed him to this situation. If he'd have gone after Man City, he never would have been booed today. And he did get booed at the end. People were shouting F off. Now, a lot of people didn't like it, but Adam was at the game. A few people have messaged me. He was at... Solskjaer went to the United fans at the end, and they basically said F off. And some of them were booing at him. Not all, but some were. Well, one person doing it is one too many, and that's the club that's arranged that. Not arranged that, that's the wrong word. That's the club that's allowed that, because if he'd gone after Man City, everyone would have accepted it, would have been over. But by prolonging it, it's exposed him a little bit to stuff he didn't need to have. Ollie gave us a good team. It's time for a good manager to win us trophies, and Donny will get more time. Who do you want as manager? Says Humza. Well, I want Zidane, but I'd take Rodgers happily. Elvis seen at Old Trafford. A lot of people, you know, just on Ollie as well, a lot of people did say he was the man before the man. Now, I disagree with that. I want to talk about his legacy in a few minutes, but I disagree with that. I don't think he is the man before the man. I think people thought he was going to set the structure in the club for the next manager to come in. It's debatable. We'll have to wait and see. I think what he has done, he's spent £400 million relatively well, and he's provided a good squad who just need a midfielder. Mark, it's sad to see Ollie go, but obviously it had to be done. Now that the position will be taken care of, there needs to be serious changes in the back. Maguire and Lindelof are not the quality United need. Mark, you know I have had significant Ollie doubts for a long time. Now, though, it's time to respect the effort he's put in and let him go back to being a legend of the club. He deserved a better end, says Brad Lewis. You can't deny you're a little excited. So am I. Compassion is tested by the rules of social media, but our true emotions are what matters, says Nick. And how about Steve McLaren? You know what, Nick? Look, let me just talk positively here, because I have struggled over the last month, and I'm sure many of you have. Now, I'm not going to pretend that I've been like depressed or anything like that, but in a footballing sense, I have had a cloud above me. I felt tired. I felt unenthusiastic. I felt, you know, that the club has just, you know, for some reason decided that they know best over, you know, valued football opinion. So for that to be over, and I actually thought, you know what, I'll be honest, when they didn't sack him in the international break, I was thinking Christmas. I thought Christmas at the earliest, and to get him gone out, you know, within a week of the international break was still going, wasn't it, a few days ago. I'm just glad it's over, but it should have been over sooner. Now it's about how quickly the club can react. And you know what, Carrick and McKenna, when I think about it, I mean, I'm just thinking on my feet here, I'm live. Want to thank Ollie, he spent well but made the same mistakes, still a club legend, says Bernie. And I really thank you for him coming to the members club. And Mark, you were spot on the first time. The club did arrange this. They let him fall on the sword to protect themselves. Disgusting, they truly don't care, says Jacob. You know what, Jacob, I think Ollie's a nice guy. I know Ollie's a nice guy. And I hope Ollie realises in there somehow that, you know, he's been manipulated and used by the club. They should have let him go, and ultimately they've let it go to levels it shouldn't have gone to, so that, you know, they can sack him, because they were always scared of sacking Solskjaer, because the Solskjaer is such a legend that the fans would turn on the board. They had to let him go to the pits so that fans would basically say get him out and not have a pop at them, and I think that's what they've done. Sources say Lauren Blanca's interim. I'm gonna have to have a look at that in a moment, and I'm glad it's over, but I'm not excited. I don't trust the club will do the right thing and that the next manager with the right appointments is Gordon. Well, that's the concern, isn't it? That is the concern. But you know what, thinking on my feet whilst we're live, a lot of people have been saying that Manchester United are going to make Fletcher and Carrick the interim coach. It's interesting. I've just actually had a message about it. There's absolutely no way Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick can interim to the end of the season. No way. You're asking them to interim longer than Solskjaer did. Like, Solskjaer didn't start interim until middle of December. Like, Fletcher and Carrick have got no managerial experience. Whatever you say about Ollie, and he shouldn't have got the job, I admit, even though I said he should. We all did. He has managed Cardiff, he has managed Mulder. Carrick and McKenna had no team at all. Manchester United decide to part ways. That's from Laurie Whitwell in The Athletic. They're all having to write various tweets now because they know it is gone, which is why we are live, obviously. But no, thinking about it, we love Ollie the player, not the manager. Thoughts on Zuzu? Azizi, says Frank. Well, he's my number one. What Moyes' release clause at West Ham? Get out, Sam. And also, Idris says, well, finally this was well overdue. He should never have given the job in the first place, or at most lasted 1 year. They have now missed the boat with Conte, and there are not many managers incoming. I will talk about Ollie's legacy. I think that's very important to talk about that, and I've been sort of planning talking about his legacy for a very long time because I thought he would be going. Zidane spotted in Manchester saloon. Yeah, definitely not, Child. But, yeah, just going back to Carrick and McKenna, absolutely no way can they... It's not Carrick and McKenna. Absolutely no way can Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or... Sorry, not Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. I'm trying to read something here. Absolutely no way can Carrick and Fletcher become the interim manager to the end of the season. Because if that happens, that means they've got to stick with... McKenna and Phelan and everything else. So, and also Fletcher and Carrick have got no authority. They're just mates again. They're just mates with the players, and they are massively part of the problem. Darren Fletcher's had his boots on training with the team for about 4 months. He's been running around with Ronaldo all this season. Fletcher's always on the pictures, so he trains the team already. Carrick trains the team already. So you know, they can only be the interim for Villarreal. Anything longer than that and the car crash continues. So I'm actually, you know, thinking about that logically. Carrick and Fletcher cannot be doing this job for longer than Villarreal. They're not equipped to do it, and they're also part of the problem. So I do feel Solskjaer's a sacrificial lamb, though, because sacking Solskjaer to the wider world will go, oh, well, they've got rid of him. But to United fans, we know he's you know, sacking Solskjaer is like sacking 25% of the problem. There's still 75% of the problem there. And that's very important to keep your eye on what the club do around that. Because the club might think, like they have done in the past, fans are stupid. Let's sack Ollie, and they'll think it's fine. But the reality is we can't have another interim anyway. So we've seen managers come and go since Sir Alex with little success in familiar squads. The new players we do have are world class, but what does the next manager really need to do to prevent a repeat of this, says Ria? Needs to bloody invest in the midfield. I think we've got a good attack. We've got a relatively good defence. We need a midfield to match that, and then we just need some proper coaching. Donny wrapping it up for Ole, fitting, end this, perfect. Though respect for Ole, he has built a great team, hopefully someone other than Fletcher and Carrick, says Pratik. I hope this does not affect our long-term view of Ole. I hate them Prats for what they have done to him and the history of United, says Sean from Ireland. I think people are worrying about Ole's legacy too much. I don't think that history will have a bad take on Ole. I think he's too much of a nice guy, and I think as a coach he was massively out of his depth. I imagine it will bother him massively, like it bothers anybody when they fail in an opportunity. He will never get a manager's job in England again. I don't think he certainly won't get one in the Premier League. So to go from Manchester United to that's it is a big thing. I don't, you know, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer is a bit like Andreas Pereira for me. As a manager, I just don't know what his level is. He obviously did well at Mulder, but you know, I don't think he's a very good coach. I just don't think he's that good, and I think he was massively out of his depth at United. But as a striker, he was brilliant, and he was brilliant for Manchester United. And everybody I've spoken to who knows him and who's met him has said he's a really nice guy. So I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be fine. He had a go. Not many people can be a successful Manchester United manager. Mourinho couldn't do it. Van Gaal couldn't do it. Moyes couldn't do it. And they're good coaches. So Ole, he'll have to go and lick his wounds. Of course he will. But he shouldn't be the only one going out the door. I think that's the most important thing. My contributions are a reflection of your opinions, Mark. You're brilliant. I try to see things through all lenses, as we all should, but we are here, says Nick. And Mark, the Glazers can't be forgiven for all they have done. Within just these 6 months, they made our fan base become more divided. We can't stop the Glazers out movement once again, says Randy. JT, welcome to the Members Club. And Ollie didn't win anything, but he's here. He's the first to make us get so many semis and almost there. At least there was hope, and I'm grateful he managed us for these years. Sad to see him go, but glad, says Liam Charmer. So let me just give you a roundup of what's going on across the social media at the world at the moment. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer sacked as Manchester United manager, with Darren Fletcher lined up for interim. That's from The Telegraph as well. Lots of people seem to be coming on to this as well. What else have we got? There was a lot of booing really loudly at the game today. I've just had a message from somebody as well. Thank you for that. That's from... who's that from? I know. Sam C345 on Twitter. Darren Fletcher will be in charge for the game against Villarreal. That's still coming out. Lopetegui is a potential option for Manchester United. Alternatively, an interim appointment could be made with Laurent Blanc, says The Athletic. Brendan Rodgers is the preferred choice, says Manchester Evening News. But it's all, you know what? Let's be fair. The reason nobody's got a bloody clue who the next United manager is going to be, and the reason so many names are being thrown around, is because United had no intention of doing this. We knew this on the international break. They had no intention of sacking Solskjaer. Hence, that's why they're now sacking him, because they're sacking him because they have to. But they had no plan. If they had a plan, he would have gone in the international break. So I'm not stressed about the amount of names we're going to get linked to, because I think United are probably scratching around trying to find a solution. Interestingly, Chris Winterburn, who's a journalist I quite like on internet, he's saying Laurent Blanc linked to interim post at United by Dimarzio. Is it too late to bring Solskjaer back because he's atrocious? If you thought Van Gaal and Mourinho were dull, get ready for the French George Graham. I actually don't mind Laurent Blanc. You know, it's all about opinion, but I don't think we'll end up with Laurent Blanc. 4 minutes ago from The Athletic, reports suggesting that Zinedine Zidane is in line to imminently replace Solskjaer at Manchester United are wide of the mark. That's from The Athletic. So somebody's put yes underneath, but I don't think they realise what... don't you just love the internet? So there's a tweet, reports suggesting that Zinedine Zidane is in line to imminently replace Solskjaer at Manchester United are wide of the mark. Somebody's put yes underneath it. They've not read the last bit, have they? They've allowed their brain to read reports suggesting that Zinedine Zidane is in line to imminently replace Solskjaer at Man United. They've just not bothered with reading are we wide of the mark. I think Zidane's looking wide of the mark. This is why I don't get involved in the Zidane hype, because he's my number one choice. And I'm just not confident that we're going to get him, which is why for me I would take Brendan Rodgers, because it's just don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. I just don't go anywhere. Any ex-players. You know, oh, what's my computer doing here? Don't worry about that. I want to talk about Ollie's legacy, though. Just had another message from United Plug saying his dad was at the match and said there was a lot of tension at the end of the game for Solskjaer. So yeah, it's moving very, very quickly here, but more and more people are saying that Darren Fletcher and Michael Carrick are expected to be involved in an interim setup for Manchester United. Just putting a tweet out again. It's got to, you got to, you know, the reality is people have been very vocal over the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. Some people longer. You can't let up on it just because they've got Ollie. I mean, I knew this would happen. Well, I didn't know it was going to happen. I feared this would happen. They'll scapegoat Solskjaer basically. They'll throw Solskjaer as he's the problem. He's the problem. But none of us are stupid to realize. Well, some of us are. Most of us aren't stupid to realise that Ollie didn't coach the team. Who's the people coaching the team? You know, Darren Fletcher, what's he doing? Going through the internet now, deleting himself from getting load up Photoshop and get me off all the pictures of coaching the team. Karaki, no, Ollie's gone. Carrick, get yourself up Photoshop and get yourself off the coaching pictures. I mean, we're not stupid. We've been seeing you training with the bloody players for the last few weeks. Carrick's been doing it for 3 years. What's good about Michael Carrick being an interim? Like, he's bloody useless. Just like Ollie was useless. Just like McKenna's useless. Just like Phelan's useless. Get them out. ASAP, get them out. And until they're out and we know what the replacement is, I'm a little bit dubious. But it's a step in the right direction. Sacking Solskjaer is hopefully the start of what needs to happen. We are given into Glazer till the end of the season, Mark. He's known Ronaldo since he was 16. Ranić for me would be incredible. Turn the club upside down, says Dara. Ryan Clark, thank you. I'd take Ranić, yeah. Arsene Wenger till the end of the season could be a good shout, says Sam. Never going to happen. Ronaldo as player manager, says Liam. I think Fletcher and Carrick will make United's situation even worse. I could be wrong, you never know. Having no managerial experience is worrying, says Christian. And I feel Rodgers is not the manager that can win us the league. Top 4 sure, says Addy. Mate, but you know, we're nowhere near winning the league. We're nowhere near winning the league. Go to sleep, Mark. Ollie will still be here tomorrow. Mate, this is like a transfer. You know, this is like waiting for Manchester United to officially announce something everybody already knows. Please start training Seb as a coach so we have some hope for the future, says Ria. And we've seen managers come... I've done that one as well. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe, by the way, bottom right-hand corner. Let me just get this off my chest, because I do need to talk about this. Solskjaer's legacy as a Manchester United manager. What is Solskjaer's legacy as a Manchester United manager for you? Because we'll all have our own thoughts. Can I have the Christmas tree switched on? No, that's for Zidane, Alpha Gaming. If Zidane comes, the Christmas tree goes up early. But Demartio saying Blanc is close as Charlie Coffey. And Ollie took us as far as he could. I'm glad we had him, but we need to progress, says Callum. You know what? Andy Murray's mum in. I'll come back to the Laurent Blanc thing, because I think that's quite interesting. Because if we get Laurent Blanc, he's going to stay till the end of the season, and we're going to keep Carrick and everyone as coaches. And I don't agree with that. You know, you're basically just changing the angel on the Christmas tree. Like, Ollie is the tip of the iceberg. Like, the main damage on the Titanic was not the visible bit of the iceberg, it was the bit under the water. Ollie's the visible target. Under the water, there's a massive iceberg, and it's got Carrick, McKenna, Phelan, and a load of other people. So, you know, changing Ollie, the tip of the iceberg, there's a massive problem underneath it. And if you do bring Laurent Blanc in, and he's not allowed to bring any coaches in, he's got to keep Carrick and McKenna. What happens then? Oh, we do quite well, and then we stick with, you know, we've got to get those people out of the club. They've got to go. They are a massive part of the problem, and they've got to go. They're as bad as Ollie. They're learning on the job, and they're not good enough. They've got to go. And until we clear out... The reality is, if you just change the manager, it's the same people changing the team as it was last week. You better not go for Angie Ang, says Ryan. I don't know who that is. Can't pronounce it. Ollie took as far as he could. I'm glad we had him, but we need to progress, says Callum. Do you think Zidane could lead us into a title race, or that... despite his aptitude, he couldn't due to his still being under the Glazers? Look, Caps, on replacements, I think United fans, if I was you and I could tell you, I would say that, I would say this. I don't want to say lower your expectations, but I don't want to lower my expectations. I think United should challenge for titles every year. I think that's what Manchester United should do. But I think the new manager that comes in, if you start talking about titles from day one, it's unrealistic to the enormity of the job that they've got. I think under the Glazers it's very difficult for Manchester United to win a title. I think the problem with the Glazers is the problem with Manchester United. They're not the right owners for us to be the club we should be. So I don't know, whoever the manager is, even if you got like a prime Klopp or a prime Pep or whatever, I think they'd struggle massively to win a title under this ownership because there's loads of barriers that you don't see. The doors that open for Pep at Man City are locked at Manchester United. So it's a very difficult thing to win a title with Manchester United, no matter how good the coach is. So I think a new manager coming in and talk of a title is probably detrimental to anything that you're expecting from that manager. What we need is a genius. What we need is somebody who can take the club and exceed with what we've got. Sad that this is the only memory an entire generation will have of Ollie, says David Briscoe. An awful day for United fans. Can you make my friend's Call of Duty day by calling him a prat for his birthday, says Kian. I don't know what his name was, Kian. COD, was it? I don't know. Ollie has left, United off worse. Okay, people smile a bit more, but we're not infants at school. Winning things is the target, and he failed, says Nicholas Walker. Yeah, let me just talk about... So, Ollie's legacy for me, and look, I don't want to kick a man when he's down. He's been sacked, but I'm not going to lie about what I said in the international break. I think it's a bit of a myth. Like, when does he ever put a youth product on the bench, let alone give him a bit of game time? And I know Mason Greenwood's a product of the Ollie era, but Mason Greenwood was obviously going to get game time. Brandon Williams came in and disappeared very quickly. I mean, who was going to be the breakthrough youth player this season? There was never going to be one. And United should always have a young player getting involved each year, even if it's just off the bench. So, Alanga, Hannibal, there are more. They're nowhere near the bench. So I think he's failed in relation to youth development, and I certainly don't think he's as good as people think he is. I think the style of football has been abysmal. Abysmal. I think there's 4 or 5 times we've played decent football out of the last 180. That's not good enough for Manchester United. He was a very reactive coach. To be honest with you, if he hadn't been a player for United, you'd call him Jose Mourinho. Like he was a defensive coach. He was a counter-attacking coach, but he wasn't anywhere near as good as Mourinho at it. His man management was a myth. I think if you're Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, Luke Shaw, Bruno Fernandes, Cristiano Ronaldo, Marcus Rashford, yeah, he's a great manager. Oh, I loved him. If you're Donny van der Beek, Anthony Martial, Dean Henderson, Tellez, Delot, Lindelof, Bailly, anybody else, Lingard, anyone else that he lied to and said you're going to get game time, he's not a good man manager, is he? So ultimately, I look back on the 3 years and I think I feel a bit cheated myself as a fan. I was like, oh, he's at the wheel, give him time, because I wanted it to work. And I probably blinkered myself a few times. I saw things that weren't there. But ultimately, we won no trophies. Like, the thing about Van Gaal and Mourinho is I knew both of them deserved to be sacked. But at least with Van Gaal, you can say FA Cup. With Mourinho, you can say Europa League, Carabao Cup. With Ollie, you say second and third. Well, third, we sort of grabbed it late on, and second, Liverpool was shit that year. There was no fans in the ground. Chelsea sacked their manager in the middle of the season, so who else was going to finish second? Why isn't anyone considering Zidane as an interim? Even if he wants the France job, he could give United 6 months, win. Duncan, I think with Zidane it just sounds like he doesn't want it. What's your best moment under Ollie? I feel a bit sad, but I guess we have to move on. Troy, everybody's favourite moment for Ollie will be the PSG win. But you know what? It's not my favourite. My favourite Ollie was PSG win when we beat them in the group stage because we beat them at football. When we beat them in the game where we knocked them out, that was a smash and grab. That was defensive, and we ended up with a penalty late on. It was enjoyable. It was that was probably the biggest elation moment. But my personal favourite moment was PSG where we played them last autumn and we beat them tactically and we played really, really well. It was the one when Twansabi put Neymar in his pocket. So that would be my favourite performance. The biggest elation moment was obviously the one in Paris. Maybe they send Ronaldo into talks with Zidane, says Joseph. Ollie's legacy as a manager is similar to his playing career. Crap full-time, but a super sub, says Clarkey. Poetic justice, Donny scores on Ollie's last game. I hope they get the next manager correct and they better not appoint Fletcher or I'll shoot myself, says Victor. It's so cruel that the board kept Ollie this long. Everyone knew he was out of his depth, but they still kept him around till the fans completely turned, says Yellow Bathing Suit. And what do you think about Darren Fletcher becoming interim? I'm disgusted, Tanya, really, but but the only thing that's sort of keeping me focused is that hopefully it's just for one game. You know, Romano is saying that officially the club won't actually fire Solskjaer. It's going to be done as an amicable separation. The club want to do things with respect. But you've just released to the world that he's been sacked. Like, you couldn't write how incompetent this football club is. Most of the mainstream media have just an hour ago leaked that Solskjaer will be sacked. And now we're getting that he won't be fired, it'll be amicable. I mean, you can put as much cherries on top as you like. You know, you've just told the old world he's going to be sacked. Zidane is in no rush to take over a team. There is nothing close at the moment. That's from Romano. And it doesn't look like Zidane's going to happen, does it? It really doesn't. It's looking definitely like it's not going to happen. Who do you think is going to be the next manager would be what I would say. Here we go. Henry Winter always talks a load of crap. Let's have a look what he's got to say. Solskjaer came into United and cleared the air of the tension post-Mourinho. Staff and players needed spirits lifting and Solskjaer did that because he cares about the club. No ego, but he's not a top-level coach or manager. Players needed organising better. Exit inevitable. I mean, that's just fairy tale, to be honest. That is fairy tale. You know, Ollie came in and put a smile on each other's face. Well, he could have done that in 2 weeks and we got a proper manager in. If 3 years, all he's done is put a smile on people's face, that's a bit of a piss take. And I've just had a message here. The situation at United is straightforward. They don't have a permanent replacement in place. Rodgers would say yes, but only at the end of the season, and they know they couldn't get Poch before then. That's the situation at United. I think we are all very much in that position, which is I don't think this is over, you know. I think obviously it's over for Ollie, but I don't think this mess is over. I think it is a mess, and you know, I think the club have played this very, very badly, and I don't think it's over by any means. I think it's there's still a lot of twists and turns to come. Phelan's gone as well, but again, you know, Phelan's gone. Let's just have a quick. He only got a. I mean, how hilarious would that be if United sack Phelan and Solskjaer, who don't do any coaching, and keep the coaches? And the big problem with United is the way we actually play football. We've got the players. Phelan's going to leave with Solskjaer, but there's no talk on any of the actual coaches as well. But it is a shambles. Like it is a shambles. It's not a shambles to sack Solskjaer. It's not a shambles for Phelan to go. It's just it's a shambles. Like that. That's how I would explain this situation. It is a shambles. They never wanted to sack Solskjaer. They didn't sack him in the international break. They have no plan. They've got no idea what to do. They never had anybody lined up. They didn't get anybody in the international break. They've sacked him tonight because it's 4 points from 21 and it's a 4-1 loss to Watford. It has to happen. Whether they want it to happen or not, it has to happen. And they're now like going, how do we rescue this situation? And I think what United have done, in a couple of sentences, they've gone, right, we've got to sack someone. Let's sack Solskjaer and Phelan, but let's keep all the coaches. Let's get somebody to be an interim and carry on. And look, how long is Fletcher going to be the interim coach with Carrick and everyone below him? Because if that's what we're doing till the end of the season, it's the same situation as now. It's just a different head on an incompetent animal. It's like the coaching is going to be the same until we remove those coaches. And people will say, well, Solskjaer picked the team, but he doesn't coach the team. And picking the team is very different to being unable to link your defence to your attack or move the ball efficiently. So we're not going to suddenly start playing like Man City now when we've got the same coaches. We need a change. We need a reset. So, but I don't think the club have got a bloody clue what they're doing. It's sounding like Brendan Rodgers wouldn't come in till the end of the season, which for me, look, I'm not that in love with Brendan Rodgers being our manager. Like, if we're waiting till the summer, that you've got to go for something else. But right here, right now, I would take him, definitely. So, yeah. Mike Phelan's going to leave. And some people talking about Rangnick. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be very interesting how it goes. I would suspect Manchester United need to get some sort of official statement out very, very soon. Solskjaer has left by mutual consent, which means he'll have had a payout, because if you walk, you don't get anything. A lot of people agreeing with me on social media when are Carrick and McKenna going to go. It's change or it's not change. It's change or it's not change. You either clear house or you don't. And I know that's harsh. And I agree. I've just seen a tweet there. Woodward and the Glazers sat back and did nothing for 2 weeks. Then they allowed today to happen. Blame them, not Solskjaer. Well, I do blame Solskjaer as well, because ultimately the manager has to take the blame. But again, I think the club have just embarrassed themselves again. And who's the victim in this? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer gets a few million quid. Phelan will get a few million quid. He's only just signed a new contract. Professionally they're hurt. The Glazers are making money hand over fist. Who's the real victim? It's the fans. We're the ones who've had to see rival fans laughing at us, singing Ollie's at the wheel, see crap football. Would you... Here we go. Time for Edwin to do us a favour. Can see him letting Ten Hag join us. He's my personal favourite out of the candidates, and the fact Zidane seems out, says Manchild. If Phelan is gone, that says United have got a panic replacement sorted tonight behind the scenes, and they're bringing in their own assistant and staff, says Clarkey. I hope so. Same coaches will have the same results. De Gea said it today. The players have no clue what to do. We need a full overhaul, says Carl. Would you not take Roy Keane as an interim? He'd be ferocious with the Deadwood. No, don't want any ex-player in. If Zidane is not available, who do you see coming? I have got information. I've been talking about it for 2 weeks, but if whatever I say to you now, don't take it as read. You're asking me for my opinion, what I think is going to happen. I think United want Brendan Rodgers, and I'm happy with that as long as it happens now. I'm not waiting till the summer for it. It's too long. We can't have an interim till the summer. You cannot have an interim till the summer, and it cannot be Carrick and bloody Fletcher. So I would do what needs to be done to get Brendan Rodgers in now, because if that's what they want and that's what they want to do it now. Zidane is free and clearly doesn't want the job. I don't want us to go after Zidane so much that you're just buying him. Like you've got, my problem with Zidane is that he's my number one choice, but we're Manchester United. It's in there. If you've gone to Zidane and he doesn't fancy it, that's not a good start. Like Mourinho desperately wanted the United job and it didn't work. Van Gaal wanted the United job and it didn't work. If Zidane's already like, I don't know, that's not a great start for longevity. How long would he be here if he's not even committed at the start? So, Zidane doesn't feel right, even though he'd be my number one. I'd obviously like Ten Hag as well. I wouldn't mind Enrique from Spain, but I don't think he'd come and do it. So Yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But look, the bottom line is Solskjaer needed to go. That is the bottom line. Solskjaer needed to go. You couldn't do... I knew that was going to happen. You couldn't have kept him because we don't know what to do. And that was the United's plan, by the way. United's plan was they were having the conversation we were having, and they went, let's just stick with what we want, what we've got. That was never an option. You don't stick with something that's not good enough because it's a difficult decision to find a replacement. We're a strong community. Facilitate 10k peeps outside Old Trafford and watch the Glazers leave. You must do this, says Anabav. And I think Seb's just woke up crying. He's Ollie in. Zidane is currently the favourite to take over as permanent manager, as United manager. Ollie, earlier today, Rodgers was the favourite. What has changed? I think Norman plays. I think that's just the media. There's been a few leaks about that. Ranić would be fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. But what I mean by fantastic, there's no guarantee that anyone's going to win a title. What I want is excitement. Zidane comes in, the CV's great, he's exciting. Rodgers comes in, I actually think he is exciting. It might not work, but I think he's exciting. Ranić comes in, he's exciting. Ten Hag's exciting. Any of those four for me would be exciting, and that's what I want, something just to believe in. Because ultimately, I'm not stupid. Like, you get Zidane, in 2 years we might be back here. You get Rodgers, in 2 years we might be back here. Same with Ten Hag. I know my eyes are wide open to that. I'm not expecting the next manager to come and be Sir Alex Ferguson. And I think we need to do that as a fan base as well. I'm willing to give... I just want to be excited by the new project. And with Ollie, I was excited, but it was always like, fucking hell, if this goes wrong, he's got no experience and neither is his coaching staff. Mourinho... I nearly even called it Borinho. Like, his football was crap, and we knew it was crap when he came. Moyes never should have got the job, and Van Gaal, I think, bottled it. I think he came in and played a certain way, and then decided to try another way. Why are people talking Keane in the chat? No way would United hire Roy. No, they wouldn't. Sir Alex is still involved. Why does this leave United? Where does this leave United for the upcoming games? Villarreal, Chelsea, and Arsenal. Yeah, very difficult games. Like I say, a new manager should have had that Watford game. And if you want exciting attacking football, then Fonseca is your man, or Ten Hag. I'm surprised we've not been linked to Fonseca, Clarkey, because he is available, and Newcastle wanted him, and Spurs wanted him. It'd be I'm surprised he's not been linked to us, because I think he's available, but I didn't think it was a good deal for Chelsea, so I didn't. Sorry, not for Chelsea, for Spurs, so I wouldn't go anywhere near him there. But look, we could talk and talk all night. It's late. I've had a long day. We've all had a long day, and I think tomorrow's going to be a lot of content day as well. So I intend to catch a bit of sleep and see what tomorrow morning brings. United are going to be in talks with a lot of people. Mark Hughes until the summer, Mark. I see it being realistic. God, no, you can't. That's one thing you can't do, Cullum. If you're going to go for an interim, get a specialist. Don't go getting, he knows United. Like, we've done that with Ollie. Don't rinse and repeat. Don't want an ex-United player involved. I can't stand the fact that Carrick and Fletcher are going to do it. But hopefully it's just for one game. If you bring an interim in, it's dangerous. Whether it's Laurent Blanc or whoever else, you give them the job and they do quite well, and people will say give them the job full time, and then we're back with Ollie. So I just think get the permanent manager in now. And what the permanent manager needs to do is realise now's the time to come into United. If you wait till the summer, there's going to be a lot more damage. All coaching staff and football management needs to go and bring in Edwin van der Sar as football director and Ten Hag, says George. Well, look, let's wait and see what happens. Thanks everyone for watching. We've had lots of shows tonight. Make sure you smash a like on the video and subscribe. We will be back in the morning with the morning show as ever. And take care, everybody. Hopefully this is the start of a journey into positive. But as I said, it might not be. So much now rests on what the contingency plan is, because best case scenario, good manager, good coaching team, we start to build. Worst case scenario, Solskjaer and Phelan out, keep all the coaching staff and let them be interims. Out of the topic, but I feel Wan-Bissaka should be playing centre-back and not right-back, says Jazz. Okay. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe, bottom right-hand corner. Smash a like on the video. I'll see you in the morning. Get some sleep, or I'll see you in the morning. It might be daytime.